So let's talk about something that's been called a time bomb. One that's ticking away not just in our environment, but in our food and even inside our own bodies. We're going to break down this whole microplastic crisis and see if we can figure out how to, well, diffuse it.
Just take a second and let that sink in. This isn't some distant problem happening on the other side of the world. Nope. The plastic pollution problem has become incredibly, shockingly personal. It's crossed every single barrier we thought we had, from the deepest parts of the ocean right into our own bloodstream.
So what are we even talking about here? We're talking about microplastics. You could call them humanity's invisible pollution crisis. These are these tiny, tiny fragments of plastic. A lot of them are smaller than a sesame seed that break off from bigger plastic items. And they are absolute masters of infiltration. They get into everything.
And to really get our heads around this thing, you have to understand the scale of it. I mean, it's a true global crisis. It's literally everywhere. But because you can't really see it, we're only just now starting to figure out how big this problem actually is.
So, how in the world does a plastic bottle that you just toss away end up becoming this global threat? Well, let's follow that trail, starting from your hands and going all the way to the ends of the earth.
You see, the journey of one piece of plastic it's not a straight line. Once it's thrown out, it follows this kind of branching path. Now, some of it might get recycled, and that's the ideal outcome, right? But huge, huge amounts end up in landfills or, even worse, in our oceans. And that is where the real trouble starts, because they begin breaking down into all those tiny microplastic particles.
And that brings us to the part of the story that hits closest to home. This is where it stops being just an external environmental problem and becomes an internal human one. We followed the plastic out into the world, now we have to follow it back inside of us.
And here's the thing. Scientists are finding these particles inside our bodies, and they are, sounding the alarm. The research is still pretty new, but the real worry is about the unknown long-term health risks. I mean, what does it mean to have these synthetic, foreign particles just building up in our systems over time? It's like we're all part of this massive, uncontrolled experiment.
Okay, so how much plastic are we actually talking about? Well, between our food, our water, and even the air we breathe, it's estimated that the average person is taking in about 5 grams of plastic every week. That's the weight of a credit card, every single week.
Which, leads us to a pretty tough question. Knowing that bottled water can be one of the biggest sources of microplastics, would you be willing to just give it up for good? It's questions like this that really force us to face how our everyday conveniences are tied to this whole crisis. But hey, this is not just a story about doom and gloom. We're really at a crossroads. On one side, you've got the problems, the invisible pollution, the health risks, but on the other side, there's this really powerful movement pushing for solutions, and it's being led by innovators, by activists, and by new ideas like the circular economy.
And that's exactly where we're going next. Let's take a look at the blueprint that's being created by innovators who really believe we can design our way out of this mess.
Two of the most exciting ideas on the horizon are biodegradable plastics and circular economy models. The first one is about creating materials that just break down harmlessly. The second, a circular economy, that's a much bigger shift. It means redesigning our whole system to get away from make, use, and throw away. Instead, products would be designed from the start to be reused, repaired, or turned into something new, basically eliminating the idea of waste altogether. So, we understand the problem, we've got solutions on the table, it all comes down to this final, absolutely crucial part, taking action. So how do we, all of us together, defuse this time bomb?
This quote, it just captures the moment perfectly. It tells you how urgent this is. Yeah, the clock is ticking. But fundamentally, it's a message of hope. It's saying our future isn't set in stone yet. We still have the power to change the outcome.
And that action, it starts right here. It means supporting the innovators who are creating these new solutions. It means demanding action from governments, like banning the worst single-use plastics. And yeah, it means looking at our own lives and cutting down our own plastic footprint. One bottle, one bag, one choice at a time.
So we end up right back where we started, with that ticking clock. The problem is clear, the solutions are out there, and the choice is ours. The only question left is the one right there on your screen. What are you going to do?